Hi, everybody. We want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Like many of our staff, we truly miss being on the field working with all the players. We're still not sure what a return to play looks like. However, we are preparing for every possible scenario moving forward. In the meantime, we really just wanted to bring the majority of our staff together to talk about what our programming looks like, have you get to know our staff a little bit, and then see how our program's kind of evolved over the last few years. My name is John Pardini. I'm the Level 1 Girls Director or Triad Director. I oversee the elite clubs nationally, which is our ECNL program, which includes our ECNL Regional League. I also oversee our NCYSA Premier teams, as well as our pre-ECNL program. This webinar is essentially for groups of players that are in the Triad area, as well as the surrounding communities that want to play at the highest level available to them. For much more detailed information, you should refer to our website. It'll explain our program overview, and it will give everything outlining the level of commitment, whether it be time or financial, a more detailed information on who our staff is, as well as the level of expectation for each program. To start tonight, we really want to talk about our newest program first. So we're going to kick it over to Bo to talk about what our ECNL Regional League looks like and give us insight into that.
Thanks, John. Quick shout out to all of our membership, our players, our families who we miss dearly. Looking forward to seeing you all in person, interacting with you all for real in the near future, hopefully. Wanted to talk a little bit about our ECNL Regional League program, which is the newest addition competitively to our Triad Girls programming slate. The ECNL Regional League is a region-based version of the ECNL. It's been in existence in other areas of the country for a couple of years now. And for the first time this coming season, a Carolinas conference will be in play. That is the conference we'll be playing in. It's comprised of teams from North and South Carolina, providing developmentally appropriate competition at the ECNL Regional League level for that U13 through U19 player. We see a number of benefits to this. First and foremost, it gives the ECNL Regional League player, formerly our elite teams, which we're now referring to as our ECNL Regional League teams, a clear pathway to the ECNL. We're going to be operating under the exact same bylaws, guidelines, the same high standards, and the same level of quality that the ECNL program has been known for a number of years now. That will also be exactly what the ECNL Regional League teams, players, coaches are doing as well. So the pathway from the ECNL Regional League to the top level, the ECNL, becomes very clear. Secondly, logistically, it allows us. It'll now allow us every competitive date to have our U13 through U19 teams all in one area every single date, which is a major benefit. Imagine a U13, U14 player finishing up a very difficult game, being able to look over and seeing some of my 17, 18, 19-year-old regional league sisters, so to speak, cheering me on, wanting me to do my best and providing me that last little bit of, competitive fire I need at the end of the game. I can then turn around as that young player after my team talk and be able to watch that same player that was just cheering me on and cheer them on in their game because we're at the exact same location. That's not something we've been able to do before, and we really think that sense of family, that sense of togetherness that wasn't always as easy to foster before is gonna be a lot easier now. Secondly, for coaches, it allows us to be around and intermix ourselves as coaches with the age groups much easier. Now, instead of a coach having to be obviously where just their team is every single competitive play date, now we know where everyone's going to be. We're going to be in the exact same location. So for the staff, the ECNL and the ECNL Regional League staff, to be able to watch more players, have a better understanding of where players are really at amongst age groups, and to be able to integrate concepts throughout the age groups is also what we see something as a big benefit. I would conclude simply by saying the player that wants the ECNL experience, the same highly competitive, high standards that the league is known for, that wants to be pushed, to be coached, that wants to grind and work really, really hard. I would say that, any player that is wanting that ECNL experience should consider and hopefully be a part of the ECNL Regional League.
Thank you, Bo. We appreciate you sharing that. Next, we want to bring on Nick Nick Holt. Nick, we're happy to have you again. Nick will be coaching our U14, U16, and U19 regional league teams, but he also spent last year coaching two of our premier teams. So, Nick, can you give us just a little bit of insight into what the premier program looks like and what the experience is for those players?
Yeah, thanks, John. Excited to come back for sure. I think with the Premier League, it's the highest state league in the state of North Carolina. And honestly, for that league, that is for players who want to play at a high level that maybe may not want to travel as much as ECNL does, or as long as the season. You're going to have pretty much equal home games, equal away games. For me, I had the 03 and 04s, like John said. It was quality competition. The kids loved it, did extremely well, and it's competitive, but you're not going to be traveling as much as ECNL. I would definitely say you definitely want to be committed. Definitely, it's going to be competitive. It's not just going to be an easy, season based off the way you look at the teams. With Premier coming in that of the list, but it's definitely competitive, and you want to make sure that you're committed to hopefully playing at the next level, or just having fun with your friends. So,
Nick, can you tell us about your experience with those 04s and 03s? What was the most enjoyable aspect of coaching those groups?
Yeah, I think with my groups, there were definitely family off the field. You're obviously not traveling again as much as ECNL, but you are together 3 nights a week with training. You may have games out in Raleigh or wherever it may be, Wilmington, and you're going and having fun with each other before the game and after the game, and obviously you're competing against some of the best in the state. So again, I think it's one of those family-like environments. I highly suggest it if ECNL is not quite what you want to do. So absolutely.
And Nick, can you give us one last question for you? Can you just tell us what that state cup competition is like? What makes it unique and different?
Yeah, I think honestly, I love the way that coming from Alabama, if you win state cup, you pretty much stay there the next level. So the next year. So with the state cup, there is possibility of promotion. With our ECNL team, our elite team from last year becoming the ECNL regional league teams. With state cup, I think the 05s won last year. Great exposure, great opportunity for the kids to play at some fantastic facilities. And obviously, as you get older, there are college coaches at those games as well. If you do have the opportunity to win state cup, you go off to regionals in the summer to wherever the country may choose. So it's a pretty awesome opportunity. And again, not as much as travel, but you're still going to travel a little bit and have a bit of fun too. So
gotcha, Nick. We appreciate you, and we're glad to have you on our staff. We want to talk about the two newest additions to our staff. First, we'll start with Tim Nash, who will be taking on the U15 and U19 premier teams. Tim, just you've got a wide variety of experience in terms of coaching level, but this past season you worked with Page High School. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into what that experience has been like for you working with a lot of those players?
Yeah, every coach wants to coach a team full of good players, and that's what I had at Page. All these kids just spent their life in playing club soccer, so they're it's a luxury to have those kids gained a high level of skill and a very good understanding of the game, and being able to fill out a whole team. Basically, you just have to put the pieces together and get them to play as a team, and it's challenging, and it's a lot of fun. And high school, it's about school pride and school spirit, but also it's about winning. And it's not often that a youth coach has winning as one of his job requirements, if you will. So that's fun. I like to win.
Nick, Tim, can you also just share, a lot of people have questions about, playing at the highest level, like can we or can we not play in high school and also play club soccer? Where there is occasional overlap, and can you just describe a little bit of the relationship that, we as a club have with a lot of our high school coaches?
No, I think it's a great relationship, and I think it's also important to keep it great and make it even better. I think I had 8 or 9 ECNL players on my Page team, and as far as conflicts go, there's high school you can train every day or have a 5 days a week if you push it. But it's just a matter of someone coming to me and saying, "Hey, listen, I have ECNL practice tonight." Okay, bye. They're playing soccer. They're playing soccer at a high level. So it's not all that important that they be with their high school team every day of the week. I think it's a win-win. It's a win for me at Page for sure. These kids know that I'm flexible enough that they can do what they need to do, whatever they feel like is most important for them at the time.
I appreciate you sharing everything, Tim. We also hosted the Triad Spring Cup this past season, which we had, I think it was 12 high school teams that played at our facility at Bryant Park, and we're looking forward to doing that again next year. The games were awesome. It was fun kind of watching the players from our perspective and just really enjoying the game. All right, the next person we want to talk with is one of our other new additions to our staff. It's Aiden Murphy. Aiden will be working with our U16 and U17 premier teams. Aiden played in the Manchester United Academy growing up. Aiden, just give us a little bit of insight into, what your experience was with youth football abroad, in England, and then give us insight into kind of how you've been involved in Fusion and the teams that you've worked with.
Yes, John, thank you. I was in the academy at Manchester United at 11 years of age, pretty similar to it is in the US here. We go down twice a week in practice, and in the school holidays we would have mini camps. Then at 14, then we formed academy teams. We would play other professional clubs like Liverpool, Everton, Man City. So then when I got to 17 years of age, I was fortunate to sign a full-time professional contract at Manchester United. I also played for the English national team from U15 to U18. Then at 20 years of age, I went to an English First Division club called Crewe Alexandra and stayed there for 5 seasons. Then I came over to the US in the 90s. I played for the Carolina Dynamo, who people probably familiar with. And they were playing in the A-League in those days, which was the top pro league before Major League Soccer came about. I stayed there for 4 years, and then I retired, and now I've been coaching with the club for 20 years now, a long time. So, it's been fun. I've coached from U10 to U18, so I've coached, pretty much every level possible. So, even the junior academy last year. So, last year I had two really good teams. I had the U16 boys, which won the state cup. And the U15 girls, which got to the Final Four. So I was fortunate to have 2 good teams last year.
Well, and we really tried to undersell you as much as possible, but your playing background speaks for itself, and we're really fortunate to have you on staff. And obviously, our girls are thrilled to be able to get a chance to work with such a quality coach. And next, we want to just give a little insight and to talk about our ECNL program. Chris Mateo, who spent a couple years coaching in college and now this will be his 2nd year working in our ECNL program. He'll be coaching our U14 as well as our U17 ECNL team. Chris, can you just give us a little bit of insight into what the ECNL program looks like and what the experience is like?
Yeah, thanks, John. It really is the highest level of girls soccer that we have in this country. The demands of the players are much, much higher than, maybe other players from other leagues are used to. There's a tactical, technical, and physical demand on the players every day. That's at training and outside of training. Overall, it really brings out the best in players. They have to compete every day, whether it's in training or a game. And there is the awareness that players from inside the club and from outside of the club are trying to make this team. From a across the country standpoint in the league and in the major events, we play a lot of really, really good teams. There's going to be some pros that come out of this. They're going to play against some players that are going to be at the top level in the ACC, SEC, Pac-12. Our league has gotten stronger this year with the addition of CSA and North Carolina Courage, 2 of the best clubs overall in the country. So our job is very, very tough, and that's why we require so much out of the girls. You can go to a game and beat a team 4-0, turn around and play them the next week and lose 4-0. So there really is no time to rest. You have to be with it mentally and physically. Really the players that are going to succeed are the ones that are very, very focused. They're working at training at 100% all the time, and they're also giving a lot of their personal time to making their craft. Really through the summer, they have to be ready, because once August hits, you have to be ready to go. There's no games that you can take off. You need to be ready to win every single game. And if you give 2 or 3 away early, your job just becomes that much more tough. So, to be a part of the program, you have to be on your game at all times, and you have to embrace that challenge and enjoy playing soccer.
Well, Chris, we really appreciate you sharing your insights into the program, and we enjoyed having you on staff this year. Chris also worked within our elite teams 2 years ago and did a fantastic job with them. And Chris, we feel really fortunate having you. Thanks for again being on staff. The next we want to look at is to talk about someone who has kind of 2 different roles with us in our club. She serves both as our goalkeeping director, but also just as a great resource for our players in terms of what the college process looks like. Stephanie Workman. Stephanie, you work at both UNCG, you work as a goalkeeping director with us, and you also serve in many ways with our women's national team in terms of scouting. Can you just give us insight into a little bit of those roles, but also talk to us about if you're a young goalkeeper at age 12 and 13, how's it going to look like the development process, as well as when you're a 19 goalkeeper, how that kind of changes over time?
Sure. Like John said, I've been coaching for 17 years at the youth college level, both as assistants and head coaches, and I'm currently serving as one of the U.S. Youth National Team scouts and the lead scout for North and South Carolina. My role in the club with the Triad is director of goalkeeping. So I coach the position that you never know you needed until you didn't have one. So I kind of look at it like that. It's good to know that you got one back there that's strong, but you hope that you don't have to use them too much. So I evaluate the goalkeepers on 75 different player actions. We break it down into concepts for each training session, such as crossing, tipping, pairing, breakaway, many more that we do. Those are just examples. Goalkeepers will start with basic instructions at the youth development age groups, and as their proficiencies become more advanced, the training becomes more advanced, and it helps them prepare them for the college environment. John also wanted me to talk about the pathway to college and what that looks like, and the Triad does a great job of creating standards that emulate and prepare these athletes for college. So most of the players that want to play after they graduate from high school, whether it's Division I, II, III, NAIA, or even just play for a college club team, they'll have a pathway through the Triad. The key is that you're in control of your own development, and the coaches are your biggest resource to help you move through that pathway. You control your effort and attitude, and we'll prepare you for the rest of that moving forward to college. Just wanted to give you guys a quick timeline for recruiting as you move through the program. So everyone's process is going to be different. So I just wanted to touch on some key points and general guidelines. So in the 8th grade, 9th grade year, it's really up to you at that point. Technical and individual development is a focus. That's for goalkeepers and field players. 9th grade is really just kind of discussing with the coaches and the parents with the athlete if they want to play at the next level and setting goals to achieve that. 10th grade is a big evaluation period for college coaches. So we want to make realistic decisions and build a top 25 schools based on feedback from the club coaches, college coaches, and any ID camps that are places that you might like to attend college. Then we would need to start sending emails to those coaches that you're interested in. Beginning of your 11th grade year, the college coaches can start contacting you. So that's when you want to go on visits, watch college games, meet the coaches, and then really adjust your schools down to a top 10 based on the feedback that you're getting from schools that are interested in you and vice versa. The start of your 11th grade year, you really want to start taking ACT and SAT testing. That's going to prepare you to get academic scholarships. And also let the coaches know if you're going to be able to get accepted into their college. Then 11th, 12th grade year, making a commitment to the school, focusing on your academics, doing another testing set if you need to for ACT, and then choosing the college that you want to go to and getting admitted to the college. So there's just kind of some key general guidelines to follow, and we do a good job of relaying those to the players and the parents as you go through the process and age groups.
We really appreciate you sharing all your information, Stephanie. Again, a total undersell, but Stephanie has helped produce some really incredibly quality goalkeeping. The two newest additions at the highest level in terms of college commitments. Olivia Protopich just committed to Louisville, and Maddie Howard committed to play at Wake Forest. So Stephanie does an incredible job with our goalkeepers. Really fortunate to have you. But in addition to Stephanie, we have a wealth of experience in terms of those that have coached and also played at the college level, which also brings us to our next person, who's going to actually talk a little bit about our pre-ECNL program and what that looks like. But also she's the head coach at Salem College. Octavia Sanders, just give us insight into kind of what our pre-ECNL program is, and share your thoughts on why it was created and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you, John. I'm really excited this year that I'll be taking both age groups for the pre-ECNL program. So what our goal for this program is to do is to develop and prepare each of our players to play in the Triad ECNL program and the Elite program. We like to bring together the best U11 and U12 players that are enthusiastic about soccer, they're competitive, they're dedicated, and they're driven to develop and get better. We also work on and help them develop relationships amongst the players between the East and the West. So how we do that is we train 3 times a week, 2 with the home club, and then we do 1 training session combined between the East and the West at Kernersville, and that really helps them kind of start to build those relationships, help their social skills, and it puts them out of their comfort zone a little bit by playing with different players. We also go to 3 events in the fall and 3 events in the spring. In the fall, we'll play 1 event as the home club and then 2 events mixed. So now they have to be in an environment playing with different players against really competitive teams. So we kind of push the players, challenge the players, and help them grow and develop and get better.
Octavia, can you just give us a little bit of insight into some of the curriculum that they really want to fixate at the 11s and 12s? What would you say are some of your main focuses for those age groups?
Yeah, certainly. It's technical, so we do a lot of technical work, a lot of 1v1, a lot of 2v2, small-sided, and we really start to break down the aspects of the technical game and improve each skill.
Octavia, we really appreciate you having on staff. You did a fantastic job with the 2009 West. It's nice to always see all those young players in 11 and 12 kind of coming together. We're now seeing Instagram posts of these kids playing, learning some of the new skills that you've taught them and brought to it, but we really appreciate what you've done with the 11s and 12s. The next person we want to just have a conversation with is talking about what the tryout process looks like. With no continuation of tryouts this coming year due to COVID, Andrew, can you give us a little bit of insight into what the team selection process is going to look like? How can kids be seen from inside as well as outside the club to be selected for some of these programs?
Sure. Kids from inside the program really are the topic of discussion on a weekly basis between coaches from one level to the next. For instance, in the U16 this year, I'll have weekly conversations with Nick, who is the regional league team, the ECNL regional league team in my age group. We'll constantly be evaluating who's doing well on his team and when will they get opportunities or who deserves opportunities to come play with the next team, whether that be in training or whether that be at an event, a showcase event. And those conversations really take place between all levels in the club constantly throughout the year. So for players in our club, they're constantly evaluated. For players outside of the club right now, while we won't continue tryouts, if we've played against that team, we have notes on the team. We have notes on the style of play, the formation, and we probably have notes on many of the players. So if a player were interested, they would contact us. They would contact John, and they would say, this is who I play for. and there's a good chance that we've seen them play. If they have video, if there's a reference point, a player within our club that they go to school with, those things can help provide some context and help us figure out what level would be best for that player to develop within our program.
We do understand that one of the byproducts of this virus is that we do understand that people's financial situations have changed, and some of the club's financial situations have changed. In some of the surrounding communities that we live in. We've been fortunate enough as a club to be in a position of stability and to offer a ton of programming. So for players outside the club, that are interested, reaching out to us directly provides us an opportunity to be able to place players. And we've always really found a way for every single kid at every single level to find something that fits them, that is developmentally appropriate for them to be placed. Andrew, thank you for sharing your insights. The next step we want to do is to talk with Gary Gartner. Gary, you've been with the club for a tremendously long time. You've actually been around the club you've seen multiple transitions and mergers and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about the role of the parent in the development process?
Yeah, thank you, John. I think the biggest thing when it comes to the parent and player coach ratio is really the parent coach relationship is two of the four NC Fusion core values: trust and development. I think the coaches need to have that trust with the parents and players to have an open dialogue about their development. The staff and the team trust that each family is doing their best to get to practices and games on time, honor their commitment to the team, foster an environment of camaraderie that's independent of results. We know that the relationships between players and families is crucial to the experience of the player. Perfect example would be a player can have the best session or the best game and leave feeling so good. And on the sideline, they hear a negative comment, and it can just really build a strain between the coach and the player, or if a negative comment is made. So, we also hope that the parents trust the coaches and the staff decisions about what team and or level that they're playing at or were selected to. When it comes to playing time, playing different positions that they're put in during critical points of the game, and really the overall safety in the environment during practices and games. Also trust that we're going to help develop their daughter, not just on the field, but off the field, by encouraging excellent academics, social groups, volunteering, and player to player mentorship program, NC Fusion Foundation, the Ronald McDonald House. We really just need to trust each other that we both have the best intentions for the player.
Gary, can you give us insight into best practices for a family in terms of making sure that they have both a good relationship with their coach, but they're also providing a great environment for their player?
Yeah, I think the one stigma that I think is out there is if a parent complains to the coach that they're going to have some type of repercussions with the player, and it's so false. And some of you guys might be shaking your head right now, but it's so important that just another core value for Fusion to keep in mind is community, and we encourage parents to speak to the coach if they have a question about a specific decision. Don't be afraid to interact with the coach. Hopefully, it's just not every decision. NC Fusion now mandates that each coach joins a team function, whether it be a lunch, a dinner, a family outing or a team outing at spare time, Sky Zone, Sky Wild. We want to have that open dialogue, and I encourage any parent, if you've struggled with this in the past, to communicate more with the coach first often, so that trust can be built and it changes in the future.
And there's no question that the key to success of any player relies on a real continuity between both player, coach, and parent. When one of those things just doesn't mesh, it really kind of causes a point of confrontation, and the player is the one that ultimately suffers. And part of our core values at NC Fusion is really fixating on the player and making sure that they are prioritized. I think in this process, sometimes we feel like we're on opposing sides, whether it be coaches or parents, but that's not our directive and that's not our intent. One, Gary, really appreciate you sharing your insight onto that. But, to all the coaches that are on here, they're very good people, and they're more than happy to listen and to share their insights. We've been doing this for quite some time, but any conversations with family, while they might be crucial and might be difficult, it's stuff that we welcome because it's in the best interest of the player. That's pretty much it for tonight. We really want to thank everyone for joining us. I'm sure there's going to be additional information or details that you might like to hear more of. I would encourage you to first kind of take a look at the website, look at the program overviews, and then if you have additional questions or you want something personally to be asked, feel free to reach out to me or to any one of our staff that can do their best to provide an answer for you. So thank you for everybody for joining us, and we look forward to seeing everybody in the near future. Take care.